Hello and welcome to episode 81 of Dunk's Movie Corner or Dunk's Movie Corner Pod or Podcast. Whatever you want to call it, that's what this is. That's who I am. And as a quick refresh for if you're new and you've stumbled upon this, it's a quick recap of what I watch in a week, if that's TV, if that's limited series, if that's movies, whatever. And if you're looking for something more substantial, something more conversational, I'd say check out the Movie Bros, which is this is kind of a companion podcast to that one. And that's released weekly with my brother Hayden on Sundays. This will usually come out on Tuesdays. So if you're curious, check that out. Otherwise, we're just going to kind of get into it. I believe last week, the last thing I talked about was Colossal with Anne Hathaway and Jason Sudeikis. This week, I'm starting with Into the Blue. This is from 2005. This was our last episode that was released on the Movie Bros. So if you want a full, half an hour conversation about this specific movie, check that out. But it is Paul Walker. It is Jessica Alba. It is the Bahamas, scuba diving, treasure hunting, drug running, Josh Brolin. Very little CGI, a lot of cool underwater camera work. It's a lot of fun. It's obviously not going to win a Best Picture, but it's a very enjoyable movie if you've never seen it. It's just a little under 2 hours. Yeah, so I'd say check out the full episode on that for more, but it's for what it is. I think it's very enjoyable. I've seen it a few times. Yeah. No notes, probably 3.5, 4 out of 5. From Into the Blue, I watched something called The Mirror Has Two Faces. I had never heard of this. This was a very random Netflix recommendation. This is from 1996. This is directed by and stars Barbara Streisand, which obviously I'm not from that era. This literally came out the year I was born, but I don't really get the whole Barbara Streisand thing. She's not unattractive. She's not like drop dead gorgeous. She's not a terrible actress, but she's also just not a great actress. Jeff Bridges, it's her and Jeff Bridges are the leads. It's an odd tale about sort of contractual marriages for companionship versus romance, and there's some interesting dialogue, but otherwise it was kind of an odd find. I'd call it maybe like a 2.5 to 3 out of 5 ish. Jeff Bridges really just does have this like natural charm about him. Obviously, you might have seen him later on in things like The Big Lebowski, Tron, all kinds of stuff. But yeah, he does have that just natural charm to him, I think. And then I took, it looks like, several days off, and I watched A League of Their Own, which I've seen before. It's from 1992. This is the all women baseball league that was started during World War II, and all the men left to go fight. I don't know how. I think it's based on a true story. Obviously, I don't know how exactly true it is, but you might recognize Tom Hanks. You might recognize Gina Davis, Lori Petty, Madonna, Rosie O'Donnell. It is wholesome. It is fun. There's some really funny lines that just come out of nowhere. It is available on Netflix if you want to check it out. Yeah, there's the director also did Big with Tom Hanks, so it is that similar kind of like these Tom Hanks vibe, and I think it's a very specific one that if you've seen 80s Tom Hanks, you kind of know what you're getting yourself into, if that makes any sense. And that's just a little over 2 hours, so I'd say if you have 2 hours or so to kill, check it out. I also went to the movies and watched Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. This came out in 2020, or late, technically 2025, into 2026. Director Gore Verbinski, you might recognize from the first 3 Pirates of the Caribbean movies. He did Mouse Hunt, he did Rango. Several of these movies we've talked about specifically on the Movie Bros. A Cure for Wellness, The Ring. So he's not a unknown director. This is a very interesting movie. It's still hard to describe it. It's Sam Rockwell coming back in time from the future, kind of like a Groundhog's Day, to fix one night. That way the future doesn't get absolutely fucked with AI. So the movie is really heavy into it. I mean, quote unquote, this is what my brother even called it when we went to the movie, but like this is boomer centric, where it's like, oh, phones are bad, AI is bad, which is some of that I absolutely agree with, to be honest. Sam Rockwell is fantastic in it. There's a opening monologue that's, I mean, it's pretty outrageous, and I'm pretty sure they did not do this in more than one take. It looks continuous from my point of view. Uh, but it's a weird Haley Louis Richardson, Michael Pena, Zazie Beetz. Not a lot of like A-list actors, but a lot of people you're like, oh, I kind of recognize them, and it's an odd ensemble cast that really, I think, blends together really well. But it's also such a odd movie that, I mean, props for it for being truly an original concept. Where I had no idea where they were going to go with this, because there were several points where things would come out of left field that I was like, whoa, I was not expecting that in the slot. Like there's no amount of money that I could have bet that I could have made that prediction correct about what was going to happen next. So visually, I think it was nice. Volume, that was something that I don't know if it was the movie specific or if it was the theater. Sometimes movies, when they get sent to the theaters, they're like, oh, you should play this at this volume. And sometimes they send you the movie and you're like, oh, figure it out, and you can adjust it accordingly. This was and I should remind you, this was the standard uh movie, not IMAX or nothing crazy. Uh, I had like a pretty good headache by the end of the movie because it was so piercingly loud. And I'm not an old person. I'm not like, oh my god, it's so loud. So I just not something I loved. That was kind of the big part that really threw me off. Yeah, I would say, if do you want something that is truly like an original concept, check it out. I think it was fun. It was engaging. Again, you will not know where this is going. I can guarantee that. And then last night, uh, I just had seen a couple clips from Thunderbolts, which is also slash the new Avengers for the Marvel people out there. And I was like, oh, some of this I remember being pretty good. And all the stuff with Sentry, I'm like, that was pretty good. Let me check that back out. So literally laying in bed, I watched and fast forwarded through the shitty parts. Thunderbolts, which came out in 2025. You can find this on Disney Plus. And again, it's more or less how I remember it. And I think I've only seen this once, and this was several months, like last April or something. But um, there are parts that I think work really well, and then there is a lot of the movie does not have really good rhythm. It's build up and then it gets bogged down in like small conversations that don't really matter. And I think that's what worked best for some of the other staple Marvel movies. Is it was very consistently like, oh, this is like the slow crescendo, and there's no stopping on that crescendo, if that makes sense. That is all that I've seen movie wise. I am also slowly working through Beef, which is a limited series on Netflix, which it stars Ali Wong, Steven Yeun. You might recognize. I mean, some of the other people are very small character actors, but it is their show for sure. It's just them, their lives intersecting and them having some anger issues that they work. It's very good. There's only 10 episodes. I am on episode, I think, 7 now. Each episode's anywhere between 30 to an hour or so. So yeah, I've been watching that. That's been pretty fantastic. It sounds like they are making more for this coming year, so I'll probably check that out when it comes out. Yeah, I think that's everything. And sometimes, it's there's 10 movies, and sometimes there's 4 or 5, and it just kind of depends on the week. Otherwise, it's been in some part, it's been one of those weeks where uh, I'm really looking for a new job, because the current one is not what I'm looking for anymore. Because, well, I mean, for a number of reasons, but I mean, financially, sure, but the management has obviously, I think, changed over time, and I mean, people change, but I'm really, yeah, starting to butt heads with people that I really don't want to butt heads with. But I'm also, hey, I moved my pottery wheel back into my apartment, which was great. So I've thrown one piece, trimmed one piece. That's out to dry before it gets biscuit fired, and then I threw another like egg shaped planter last night, which has been kind of nice. So that's gonna dry out a little bit today. I'll probably trim that this evening. Um, so yeah, that's been really nice to be able to do that. This coming weekend, the 20th, 21st, and into the 22nd. I'm off diving with some friends over on Hood Canal. For those of you who even know where Hood Canal is in Washington, so that's something I'm looking forward to reconnect with some friends. We do it once a year, but we'll see. It's been an interesting year where life has happened, and it might be a smaller group this year, which is kind of a bummer. But there'll be people to miss, but we'll kind of see. What else? I think I don't know, that's life. We'll see what this coming week holds, movie or show wise, or work, or pottery, or scuba, or I picked up the underwater film camera that I've been looking for, so I've been slowly going through how to do and use that and connect strobes. And the problem is, this is obviously the underwater film cameras have not been made in a while. On this one, the owner manual on the inside says 1992, so it's been literally over 30 years, and there's not a lot of very clear instructions of oh, this is what you do with this. This is how you put this thing on this thing. So it's a lot of oh, let me reference YouTube, let me reference these instructions because they're not super clear. It's not just like a point and shoot camera, which looking back, I was like, well, I probably should have gotten something easier for my first underwater camera, because I have a GoPro and that's great, but uh, there's several people I know who have gotten one of the TG series and really love it, and I've used it a couple times. I'm like, oh, this is really nice, and well, this is not that. This is so much more involved, which I had no idea. But that's gonna be the fun challenge. That's the exciting challenge, and we'll see how it all works. So I will most likely be bringing that to Cushman, Lake Cushman, this coming weekend, and I'll hopefully shoot some rolls of film on it and see if anything even comes out of it. So, wish me luck. Otherwise, this has been Dunk's Movie Corner, or Dunk's Movie Corner or podcast, whatever you want to call it. Thanks for listening, or at least having this on in the background, or if you just need the sound of my soothing voice in your day while you're doing homework or whatever, sure, or laundry, or feeding the cat, whatever. And yeah, I'll talk to or at or with you all next week.